there are over 400 diseases that can manifest in the mouth.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that I know all of them, but I got an idea of where to look if I need information about it. Now, if you come in and you're female, can I tell if you're on your cycle? Yes. Can I tell if you've got HIV? Yes. Can I tell if you're diabetic? Yes. Can I tell if you have some sort of simplex herpes? Yes. However, if you think of your body as just like a tube, and the mouth is the opening of that tube, is just only a series of sphincters or trap doors that are sectioning off that tube. So whatever you put, as my biochemistry teacher used to say it, whatever crosses the lips is forever on the hips.
Good evening, folks. This is Michael Humphrey, aka Chill, from the Soul of a Man podcast, and I'm excited to be here tonight with my boy DB, my co-host, my wonder twin. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm good, brother, man. Glad to be here.
You're just getting in. You're just coming off the road, right?
Yeah, man. I actually just touched down from Miami, celebrating one of our former guests, John Hill, his birthday. So went and hung out with him and his wife, and glad to be back on this side of the this part of the East Coast. I'm glad to leave Miami behind.
Sounds good. Well, we're excited tonight, man. We've got special guests with us tonight. One of my boys. I know we've hit you all with a whole lot of Aggies, and we got one more in the form of Dr. Ed McDonald, DDS, and we're excited to have him here. He calls himself Edge, as many of us have known him. Sometimes he calls himself Rue for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but I think it
There we go. That's a straight.
May have something to do with the sweater and the hooks going up and the hopping and all the rest of that. But he threw on some Omega gear tonight, looking good, and I had to come back and hit him with a little Kappa gear to counter him a little bit. But it's all love.
Indeed.
Well, man, we're glad to have you tonight, man. And as you know, and as our guests know, we have been talking about the second half, starting to talk about the second half living, second half of life, and making sure that we're living it at our absolute positive best. But we want to talk to you just to give you a little background, very little, and I'm going to let Ed pretty much introduce himself, but native of Wilmington, North Carolina. I think you went to the same high school as the famous Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Right.
Mike happened to leave before I got there, but we did go to the same high school.
Gotcha. And came to A&T, is also a military vet of the Army, went to the Army for a short stint and then the reserves, served in the reserves from that point forward, but has a degree from A&T in architectural engineering and construction engineering. And also did his medical work at Meharry Medical School, their School of Dentistry, and then made another turn. And this is part of what we're talking about in the second half, really folks making turns in their lives, things happening in people's lives, and them making conscious turns in some cases, and some dictated by life itself. Right. Made another turn and earned yet another degree, an MBA from Emory University. So this brother's got it. He's got it going on. But we want to give you a second for you to tell us about you, your family dynamic. I know you have two handsome young princes at home. And give us just a little bit of a background on how you got to this point.
Well, just like anybody else, they want to get started and established and have that American dream of the picket fence and, the family and all of that. But then life has its own way of working itself out. So right now, it's all about the kids, making sure that they're good. Keep chugging on with my business. I love what I do. I'm happy with what I do. I can do it blindfold, but right now I'm just at a point where I'm just making sure that they're good. And to me, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And they are what age now? Oscar and Isaac, they're what age?
Oscar is 12 and Isaac will be 10. And yeah, they're growing up fast, man.
Growing up real fast. And you are, don't think that you got any qualms in me saying so, but a single father of these two young men. And I'm sure that comes with its own challenges in keeping the kind of schedule that you keep and being the incredible dad that you are.
Yeah, it does come with its own set of challenges, but I'm here to meet it, man. And I think more than anything else, I wanted a family, wanted kids, and wanted to kind of spread my roots and get them going. And yeah, that's what it's all about, man.
Good, fantastic. Again, we talked about just some of these changes that come about in life, in which we have to really pivot and make some adjustments, make some changes. You lost your father not long ago.
Yeah, I lost my dad at the beginning of the pandemic. March 27th, me and the kids were actually supposed to go on a cruise that day.
Wow.
And lost my father. He had gotten sick, and the last time I saw him was the Thanksgiving before. Tried to make it home that January. It was snowed down here, and the next time I saw him, man, he was in that pine box.
Wow.
So couldn't go to the hospital. Blood pressure was elevated and was up for a couple of weeks. Went home, had to just talk to him on the phone, communicate that way. Couldn't get in the hospitals. And so when I heard he had a turn for the best, I headed back to Atlanta.
Yep.
And they transported him home. And then the nurse came, showed my mom how to take care of him. From there, the next day he died. So I think that he wanted to die at home, which, kind of wonders sometimes and ask yourself why people pass away or expire, transition the way they do. I think he wanted to, pass away at home. So that's pretty much how it happened. Yeah.
Got it.
Ed, we share a similar story. My dad passed away in April of 2020. I did have a chance to get home to see him before he passed away. He'd fought a long fight with cancer, and he just like your father, he was not. He was in hospice, but he was in hospice at home. He was not going to be in anybody's nursing home or anybody's hospital, and he too passed away at home in April of 2020, and it was a beast because I was living in Arizona at the time. So jumping on the airplane in the peak of COVID was a bit terrifying for me. And as I've talked about on this podcast before, if it wasn't for Michael Chill, I don't know that I would have made it home to see him before he passed away. But Chill sort of coached me through it, and I got home and I was able to see my dad a week before he passed away.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So Ed, just to back up a little, because you've had an interesting transition through college and career. Started off in pursuit of an engineering degree, ended up getting an architectural engineering degree, and then dentistry. That's a real turn. Tell me about that.
Believe it or not, it was always some sort of medicine, but I didn't have any mentorship. But I was good math, science, and architectural drafting. Okay. So I don't know if you can recall, but A&T at one time had an architectural degree, and they had a totally different accreditation and everything. And I got accepted to Howard, Hampton, Clemson, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, and State. But with me paying for everything, A&T was the most economical option. But midway, they changed to the American Board of Engineering and Technology accreditation for architecture and engineering. Mm-hmm. That's not what I wanted. So I went and spoke to the chairman of the biology department, and he encouraged me to stay. because engineering graduates tend to make more money when they get out. Biology is kind of like a terminal degree. And he felt like if I decided to pivot later on, that I would get a better chance getting in, that the schools would look highly favorably at people that had engineering degrees. They like the way they think. So believe it or not, your chapter brother, Trent Jones, was my dentist here. And he talked me into going into into dentistry. It was more of a cash-based business. It was less time in school. I was good with my hands, so it just made sense. So,
so how much time between finishing up at A&T and making the decision to pursue dental school?
It was actually I had given myself 4 to 5 years after I got out of A&T before I made up my mind to make the switch. So,
and in that time frame, working in engineering.
So now,
in that time frame, working in engineering.
Yes, I worked in engineering for about 4 or 5 years. Construction management here in Atlanta. Worked on Grady Hospital, that fourth package.
Wow.
That package was worth $100 million. Worked at the CDC, built one of the infectious disease labs. Worked on the Mall of Georgia, and worked at the airport as a senior estimator on the 5th runway and the International Concourse. So I did all of that prior to even going back to school for dentistry.
Got it. So then it got into your mind with Trent's help and push and encouragement and mentorship to pursue dentistry and pick up and take off for Tennessee for Meharry.
Right. So what happened was I made up in my mind. I actually woke up. They say you don't do this, but I actually woke up one day and say, "Hey, I'm going to be a dentist." So, I actually went on a vacation, went to Cancun. I said, "This is my last time to kick it. If I get ready to, get myself together to try to get accepted into school." I took the dental aptitude test or dental admission test, and I scored the bare minimum without studying to get in. And I applied, just did the shotgun effect, applied to many schools. Meharry was the only one that took a chance on me to admit me into what's known as the post-baccalaureate program.
Mm-hmm.
So through that program, I was allowed to take half of the course load of a freshman dental student and to retake the dental admission test. So the requirements were a 3.0 in the coursework and a 15 the way that they wanted on the dental admission test. The high score is a 30, right? So closer to you get to 30, the better. So there were 35 of us in that program. And after the year, I got a 4.0 in the coursework and I got a 22 on the test. The architectural engineering portion of it was equivalent to what the test has as a section perceptual ability. So each time I took the test, I got a perfect score in that.
Wow.
So what that means is taking shapes that they give you on the test, and if it's a 6-sided figure, you have to figure out what the 6th side is if they give you 5 sides. So that would simulate you looking in a patient's mouth using indirect vision to look at a side of a tooth that you can't look at directly. So that process of getting into school from the time that I made up my mind was 5 years.
Got it. So how much time spent in school? How much time is dental school?
Now, dental school with a degree, and there are some programs that have like a consortium program where you can get maybe a certain amount of hours or 3 years and get in. With a degree, it's 4 years, and then it's an option to doing what's known as a residency, a general practice residency, or some other, orthodontics, oral surgery, periodontics. If you choose to go that route, that's an elective. That's not necessary for you to get out. But I chose to get more of an exposure and practical experience, so I stayed another year at Meharry and did the general practice residency where I was a chief.
Got it. So Meharry takes a chance on you, and you go out there and show up and show out, basically.
Right, right. Meharry was good because Meharry teaches a lot of good clinical work where a lot of the schools just kind of expose you to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
a lot of have a better grasp hands-on on how to deal with a patient newly graduated than a lot of the other schools do. And that's the gym that we have in Meharry.
So, Doc, let me ask you this. How much do you think your number one, A&T training background, number two, your military training background played into you being so successful at Meharry?
Man, I tell you, my technical background from Meharry, I'm from A&T, I was more than prepared once we got into the clinic, because I think the base thing that you have to convince the patients is that you know what you're doing, or they have to feel comfortable with what, you know, and me not having had any experience like being a dental assistant or being a hygienist or, you know, just working with a patient, you know, I may have had some light shadowing, but just to have the concepts, because in them either going to be an artist or you're going to be an engineer. An engineer, you can measure everything and get the accomplished goal, or you can just eyeball it. And I was always kind of one of those eyeball type of guys. But I had the background from A&T to help me with it. But at the same time, the military helped me with the hazing portion of dental school, because dental school is a haze, right? And so Meharry was all black, all military, all Greek, and all divorced. So being an old non-traditional student, they're like, oh, we can't mess with him. He's Leatherface. He's gone through this, you know, athletics, all kind of, basically I'm a crash dummy. So I was able to use both of those experiences to help through dental school. And I made it through in flying colors. I'd do it again. A lot of people wouldn't do dental school again. A lot of people wouldn't pledge again.
Yeah, without question. But we wanted to, I want to pivot so that we make sure we get some time in to hear from you with your background, with all of your experience in dentistry, in kind of helping us understand our second half and why good dental health is so very important. As Darren and I were talking about this topic of our second half and making sure that we live life to our fullest, and the different aspects that went into it, our physical health, our mental health, finances, legacy, these were different pieces. We are starting this venture, this journey with health and a focus on health. And he came to me and said, you know what, I've heard again and again and again and again that dental health is so critically important to one's overall physical health and well-being. And that's what we want to talk to you about for the rest of the time that we've got with you.
Okay, sounds good.
So literally, let's just.
Did you want to ask anything specific, or did you start it?
Yeah, I think we've got some odds and ends questions, but please feel free to jump in and just school us on it, because we're here to hear you, here to learn, and here to allow you to share with our followers, again, why this is so critical. Our demographic, Ed, when we started thinking about this whole issue of the second half, and even the Soul of a Man podcast, we initially thought our demographic was about 45 to maybe 65 or so. What we've come to understand after 18 episodes is that our demographic stretches down to about 35 and can go on until the end of life, really. But we know that we've got some younger viewers, a lot of younger viewers in their 30s who don't quite realize. You said you work for the CDC. Darren brings it up often. Per CDC information and stats. I think the average life expectancy is what, DB? About 72?
72, 73 years old, in particular for African-American males.
So what's been interesting is for these, 30 somethings to realize that they're in their second half, based on life expectancy. But we want to give them an idea, and we want to get an idea ourselves as to why oral health is so very, very, very important to your overall condition. I guess some of my focus would be more on seniors, since I fall into that category. But you tell me where it needs to begin and why it's so critical.
Well, let me start by saying that there are over 400 diseases that can manifest in the mouth.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that I know all of them, but I got an idea of where to look if I need information about it. Now, if you come in and you're female, can I tell if you're on your cycle? Yes. Can I tell if you've got HIV? Yes. Can I tell if you're diabetic? Yes. Can I tell if you have some sort of simplex herpes? Yes. However, if you think of your body as just like a tube, and the mouth is the opening of that tube, is just only a series of sphincters or trap doors that are sectioning off that tube. So whatever you put, as my biochemistry teacher used to say it, whatever it crosses the lips is forever on the hips. So what you need to do is really start, if you're talking about your demographic being 35 years old, now is the time to start looking at your health. That is so important. However, it is so much of an afterthought with the insurance companies, with a lot of the hospitals. If you go to the hospital and if there's not an oral surgeon on staff, a lot of times if something is going on in your mouth, they can't help you. They're just going to patch you up and send you to me on Monday. Dental insurance started with a $1,500 policy in California with Delta Dental in 1966. Most health insurance policies haven't progressed much since then. An average amount of teeth in your mouth, as far as dentists are concerned, is 28, because most people have their wisdom teeth taken out. But $1,500 over 28 teeth, if you aren't brushing your teeth, won't go anywhere. So, dentistry is just kind of like the gift card that you can only get the towels and the face cloths with, not the hand towels. So what's happening is, I guess the take-home message is to, one, take advantage of your dental insurance. I know a lot of younger people don't keep their appointments. A lot of the older ones do. And trust me, because I'm turning 56 this year.
Okay.
Things start falling apart, right? So do yourself a favor and be proactive and get ahead of everything falling apart. And that starts with your diet. That starts with your visits, which every 6 months is more than just a cleaning. It's to kind of bird dog stuff that could be going wrong. I could say, Mike, look, you got a cavity. You may want to take care of it now. If it's not hurting or it hadn't gotten past the enamel, we may be able to wait a little while, but it's kind of like your brakes. If you're riding on your brakes and you hear that squeal, go get it looked at, before you start hearing grinding or you wind up in somebody's trunk.
Right. Right.
The longer you wait with dental pain or some sort of cavity, because cavities affect 95% of the population in North America, the more expensive it's going to get.
Yeah. Wow.
Got it. Yeah, so you mentioned diet. I'm sorry. Real quick, you mentioned diet. Ed, how much does diet play into one's dental health? I know I've heard recently just people talking about just drinking sodas or sugary drinks has an impact that you wouldn't think that it has. But every time those solutions are passing your teeth, they're impacting it in some way, form, or fashion.
Well, let's talk systemically about food groups. Okay. Eating more vegetables that you can't digest kind of rolls through your body and picks up the trash. Okay. Now, protein is something different. Let's take chicken, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, and that's the main thing when you're flossing, comes out that's stuck in between your teeth, is chicken. If you don't get that stuff out, it's going to cause, that's what causes the odors. All right. And that's what causes what we call anaerobic bacteria to get in the gums, to cause the gum disease, cause the bone receding, all of that stuff. That kind of bacteria doesn't need air to survive. So that's why flossing is important. But the cavities, what's caused there is the sugary substances, especially the sticky stuff and the sodas. First of all, when you're looking at sodas can carry up to 300 calories. So if you're on a 1,500 to $2,000 calorie a day diet, and if you drink sodas, you've busted that by about 600 calories. Right? But what happens for a cavity to form is you need a sugar source. You need something for it to stick to, like teeth, gold, acrylic, porcelain. Cavities can stick to all of that stuff.
Wow.
And the bacteria that causes cavities. And then you need a hot, dark, wet environment and time.
Wow.
My dad used to make homemade wine. He was pretty good at it. He was so good. He had come by, but the police officers would get bottled wine from him. But it's the same process. He's got a 5-gallon jug. He's got water. He's got grapes, and he's got a 5-pound bag of sugar. Cover it up with a blanket. Put it in the shed. 3 months later, he's got wine. That's how cavities are formed. I mean, it can have a devastating effect on your teeth if you don't have control of it.
Got it.
Yeah, it's funny. My dad used to say, and he started saying this at a very early age for my brother and I, he had this saying, be true to your teeth or they'll be false to you. And he has never lied, man. And I am one of those people I'm just like hell-bent on making sure I have great dental hygiene and dental health, man. Some of it's vanity, honestly, but some of it's trying to make sure that I'm doing the right thing as it relates to that. I am at my dentist office no less than 2 times a year.
Yeah. You mentioned gum disease, and is that one of those things, in addition to potential gum disease, gums recede as you age? Can you give some clarity to that? I'm throwing out things to you that I've heard.
Actually, there is no correlation between gum recession and age. However, with time, things do wear out, but there are other factors that can cause receding gums.
Got it. What and follow up to that? What causes that unconscious grinding at night? I've had my dentist ask me, "Do you grind your teeth?" And I say, "No, absolutely not." He said, "I can tell you're grinding your teeth." I have no idea that I'm grinding my teeth. What causes that?
What that's called is subconscious nocturnal bruxism. They have a specific term for that. A lot of people don't realize that they're doing it. And I can look in your mouth. Your back of your teeth the back teeth have points on them called cusps. Your canines are cuspids, or they have a single cusp. Your premolars are bicuspids, or 2 cusps. The back teeth are molars. They have cusps. Those teeth work to grind your food and combine with saliva to form a bolus, all right, for you to make it easier for you to swallow. When you grind your teeth at night and the dentist looks in your mouth, the tips or those cusps are worn down. Your teeth have layers, And the next layer of tooth is the dentin. That's where the nerve is. That portion, believe it or not, is yellow in everybody's mouth. So sometimes some people can wear their teeth so flat, they start wearing them down to the next layer of teeth.
Wow.
Next layer of the tooth. And what happens is probably the most predominant reason why people grind their teeth at night and they don't know it is that they're stressed about something.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything.
So usually when I see that, I'll ask somebody like, hey, you worried about something? You know, somebody passed or, going through divorce, any kind of serious stressor in your life will cause somebody to grind their teeth because they're, I guess that's their way of working out their problem in their sleep. It's causing anxiety and it happens. So usually the cure to that is some form of night guard, occlusal appliance that you wear on the upper arch of your teeth, or some people grind so hard that they get headaches. They start having problems with the jaw joint, and it could cause a whole lot of issues.
Being a cycle breaker means that you are in the forefront of what is happening. You got to take the hits. It's only hard because you've not done it before. But if you look back on what you've overcome, your perspective on what's happening next would shift.
Just the same way it says, some assembly required to get free and stay healed, some disassembly is required.
No more negative cycles. Regardless of what happened to you, you can make decisions to not let it negatively impact you anymore.
I speak that people will see you and they will recognize that a shift has happened and they will ask you, how did you do it? Cycle Breakers Conference 2024.
Now, do you see that being more prevalent from a stress perspective in males, females, blacks, whites, or is this pretty much the same across the board?
I guess if I had to really think about it, I see it. I see it across the board, but I would generally say it's females.
Wow.
Females have it, and just like anybody else, they have no idea that they're doing it.
And I take it that it's probably us guys that have something to do with that stress that's causing them to grind their teeth.
Yeah, but it's a variety of stuff. But whatever it is, it's usually something that's chronic. In other words, whatever the stressor is, it's bothered them for more than 6 months.
Wow.
The teeth are the hardest. The enamel of the teeth are stronger than bone. So it takes a whole lot of what we call, grinding to get that attrition in the teeth for a dentist to be able to see it. And it's pretty obvious when you look in the mouth.
Wow. So how many checkups, how many cleanings should happen in the course of a year?
If you don't have anything wrong with you, as far as like dental work, crown and bridge, root canals, cavities to be filled, 2 should be sufficient. But believe it or not, if I have 4 people that sit in this chair, 3 of them are going to have some sort of gum disease. It's clinically proven. Wow. So if you're talking about diagnosed gum disease, you've got the initial therapy where we do the deep cleaning or whatever's called for after the consultation. Then we bring you back quarterly for what's called a periodontal maintenance. The deep cleaning or the scaling and root planing is going beneath the gums when the patient's anesthetized to get that debris off and to smooth those edges of the teeth or those planes of the teeth so that the bacteria doesn't stay there. Sometimes it's so much that it's missed. So the touch-up comes during the scaling, the periodontal maintenance. Sometimes to close pockets and reduce inflammation, we may have to introduce antibiotics. We may have to introduce antibacterial rinses. But when you got a case like that, we're talking about 3/4 the initial therapy and then the evaluation of dental therapy, the initial therapy. We're talking about 5 or 6 times for a patient that's got perio disease.
Wow.
In 1 year.
In 1 year. Wow. So you threw me for a loop a second ago, just in regards to the cleaning and what needs to be done at home for home, just everyday home maintenance. I assume flossing after every meal is what we've heard forever. But tell me about mouthwashes, specifically fluoride mouthwashes, fluoride toothpaste, and the bristle of a toothbrush. I think I pretty much have used medium or hard brushes since I've been an adult, and it sounded like hard is not the way to go. And thinking that with a hard brush, I'm getting the teeth cleaner, and also use an Arm & Hammer toothpaste with the granules in it, thinking that that's helping to remove any plaque or whatever from the teeth. It a lot to unpack there, but can you talk me through some of that?
Okay, so let's start with the mouthwash. To me, I recommend to patients any mouthwash that's recommended by the American Dental Association is a good mouthwash. They have some what they call non-alcoholic mouthwashes that don't bite as much. Some people just like that old-fashioned Listerine with that bite. They don't feel like their mouth is clean unless they have that bite in it. So that's fine, but the alcohol can tend to dry out your mouth. And when your mouth is drier, it eliminates the self-cleansing activity of the saliva to help keep the decay down. So we're talking about now toothpaste. The same thing. I like Crest Pro Health. It's recommended by the American Dental Association. It helps with whitening. It helps with the bacteria in the gums. It helps with sensitivity. Anything that you choose to use with the American Dental Association seal on it is good. Now, Arm & Hammer toothpaste is fine. I've been known in the past to use just straight baking soda in addition to my toothpaste, but that's not always good because that abrasiveness wears on your enamel. And once you lose that enamel, that's it. You're not getting any more. What enamel you're born with, that's it. So I've had patients that come in and use a Tom's toothpaste and some of these homeopathic remedies and using, a whole, like some kind of oil pressing. I don't even know what that is. They approached me with that. I'm like, hey, I wasn't taught that in school. I can't talk to you about that. But everybody, all that stuff that's recommended by the American Dental Association is good stuff. Now, I also recommend, if you can, get you a power toothbrush, but don't use it every day. Alternate. Kind of shock your thumbs. Use a hand toothbrush one day and then use the regular electric brush the next day, but alternate. But use one with soft or medium bristles. Because again, once you lose that gum, that's it. You can't get any more. There are procedures that you can use where they, harvest gum or, take your gum and kind of pull it up and sew it a little higher to fill in those gaps. But man, you don't want to go through that. That's expensive and it's a painful healing process.
Got it. And flossing. Talk to me about flossing. Flossing is that's the key. That'll keep you out of this chair for perio treatment because
the toothbrush can't get in between the teeth, right? Some of us have natural crowding. Some of us feel like we're too old to get our teeth straightened out by braces, but they have problems or lack the dexterity to get in there and get that stuff out. What I suggest you do is tie a couple of knots in your floss, get it down in there and just pull it through and have all the debris come out. But you gotta floss. It's just kind of like cleaning up the kitchen, sweeping the floor, but not wiping off the dinner table, right? So you wipe off the dinner table, then you sweep the floor. Some people choose to floss first and then brush second, and then mouthwash, or however order they choose to do it. Just as long as you do it, you're good.
Got it.
Got it. Now, Doc, I was probably in my 20s, probably late 20s, close to 30, before I ever saw a tongue cleaner.
Okay.
Is your tongue supposed to be pink, or is it supposed to be white?
That's a good question. Tongues can present a manner of different ways. You know, if you drink coffee, if you've got HIV, they call that the hairy tongue. You know, you can have, some sort of systemic illness. You can have what's called a geographic tongue. Looks like you've got taste buds everywhere. A healthy shade of pink, as long as it's not like a white, like some kind of candidiasis or kind of oral thrush. I think you will know if something's wrong with your tongue. A lot of cancers manifest on the sides of the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of patients bite down on their tongue because their teeth might not be in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a case by case basis, but some people, they know when something's wrong. They'll come and come talk to me or go see your dentist and say, "Hey, I don't feel like my tongue is healthy. Do you mind taking a look?" Sometimes a biopsy may be, required, some sort of swabbing, where they run a test. But a tongue, for the most part, should be a healthy pink, along with your gums. We're talking about a good salmon color, as long as it doesn't look like it's flushed with blood, or just kind of engorged with blood or whatever.
Right.
No bleeding or anything like that. You should be good.
Got it.
Doc, I have a question, and this is more related to sort of the business side of it. When we look at integrated health, most people think clinical, they think mental health. As a matter of fact, I have a friend or someone I know who owns an integrated health profession clinic, does really well. He was looking for a chief operating officer. I'd spoken with a brother out of California, and he was telling me that most people who own integrated health practices don't include dental in integrated health, where it actually should be. And I don't know if it's from an insurance perspective, how people think or what, but I'm thinking with your mouth being the gateway to everything health related, I don't understand why dental wouldn't be a part of integrated health, just like clinical and mental health would.
Well, let me say that we have dentists and we have people that lobby in Washington to keep dentistry kind of autonomous with respect to how we self-police ourselves and how we choose to conduct business. I think over the years, and I did a study on this when I was in school, and this isn't to slight any particular gender, but the early 90s saw a paradigm shift where dentistry, which was once known as male dominated, is becoming female dominated. And a lot of people that got their dental license in the baby boomer years are retiring or dying off, and we can't replace them fast enough. So if you take a look, and if you think about it, the next time you go by a Walmart, particularly a new Walmart, Walmart will sell you anything, and they've got clinics now where they've got hearing, they've got eye care, they've got dentistry, they've got psychological health. That's kind of where I see the model going. But the problem is with dentistry, a lot of the private practices like mine are being scooped up by what we call dental service organizations or DSOs.
Yep.
So
like your Aspen Dental.
yeah. So it's probably getting a dentist to come on board with an integrated health situation may be a little harder than it should be.
Got it.
Are there? I'm sorry. Go ahead, D.
I was gonna say, let's shift into the cosmetic side of this, if you guys don't mind. I think, and I know that's something you do, Doc, and we've seen a resurgence of this over the past, I don't know, several years. We were kind of joking before we started about the iPhone charger white veneers. I was making a joke about it, not knowing that it was actually considered, to be iPhone charger white. What is it that's increasing our cosmetic surgery or cosmetic work that's being done these days? Is it more out of necessity, or is it more out of vanity? Let's talk about that a bit.
I would say veneers, or the AirPod white, as you're referring to, is more of an elective procedure. Back, I guess, shortly before we were born, women unknowingly took tetracycline while they were carrying the baby. And what happens is that manifests in gray teeth with the child. The only way that you could get something like that covered up without grinding off significant tooth structure is a veneer. There are some people that have their lateral incisors, the teeth beside the two front teeth, they're too small. Those are called peg laterals. We call them peggies in dentistry. People get veneers to straighten those out. People will get veneers to avoid getting braces. They use them to do that kind of stuff. I think any kind of spacing that's more than 2 millimeters, I think you need braces. That's my opinion. But you can't tell people what to do with their money. They will do that to get a more aesthetic look. Now, a lot of times you've got people like in mobile homes doing dental work. You've got people that are unlicensed doing dental work. You got people that are unlicensed doing ortho. And it'll, their main plug is, I'll save you some money if you come to me. Not a good look. So if you're going to do it, I would say, find somebody, from a good recommendation. I'm not even opposed to looking on Instagram or something like that for somebody that you like. But, go to the person, talk to them, see what kind of work that they've done, look at their portfolio, get a step-by-step, process. And me, with anything that I do, I always want the parachute cord. How do I get out of this? How do I reverse it in case I don't like it? Now, there are two types of veneers. You can get chair-side veneers, where they're essentially putting white filling material on top of the teeth. All right. The good thing about that is it doesn't require any prepping of the teeth at all. All they're doing is putting the composite on and they're shaping it. It's your choice whether you get the upper 8 or the upper 10 or the upper 12 and the matching one's done, or however, you can reverse the process. Now, it's a hassle, but it can be reversed. Now, the second type of veneer are the porcelain veneers, where the teeth are manipulated. They are shaved down slightly. There are little ledges placed on there where the veneer will literally sit after cemented, and impressions are made. You get temporaries just like you do with a crown. The lab makes them. You try them on. That cementing process, you got to use a special cement that doesn't opaque and makes the teeth look translucent. That process in itself can be an hour or two just to cement them on. That process is not reversible. Once you got those, you got them. The only thing that I would discourage about with veneers is the fact that the mouth is dynamic. And you've got what we call excursive movement, protrusive movements. The lower jaw is the only part that moves. So if you've got a veneer who's got a ledge hanging over your front tooth and you slide your jaw forward, you got the potential of popping it off. Happens all the time. Or you've got excursive, or when you jaw go like, those are natural movements of the mouth. You'll take off significant tooth structure if you get a crown, but you have less chance of that happening. The only margin that you have to worry about with a crown is the margin that's going along the gums and the 360 circumference of the tooth. You've got to worry about the margin that's going in between the teeth or behind the tooth, back down and in the front with a veneer. And all of that stuff, if you manipulate something that God has made for you, you have the potential of causing an entry for bacteria. So it's a lot to think about once you endeavor and move forward with something like that.
What do you say to the people who are, and I know in some cases it works fine or whatever, but to the people who are running to like Mexico or Colombia to get dental work done, in particular implants or veneers?
We talked about that. We touched on that lightly before we came on air. That's what's called a dental vacation. You pay money. You may have people that live overseas. You may not. But the main purpose is for you to go and get a total mouth makeover. Hey, this is what my dentist in America suggested I get. What can you do for me with respect to price to help me make this happen? Only reason why they're going is to save money. You're still paying for the flights. The flights aren't discounted.
Right.
So if you come over here, and I'm not saying that all dentists overseas are bad. A lot of them are great, but you got to find them. If there's something that goes wrong with that dental work that you got done overseas, you're going to have to go back over there and get it done because no dentist here is going to touch it. And if they do touch it, you're going to have to pay again.
So the money you saved initially may end up costing you more in the airfare, hotel, and additional work in the end.
Right.
Got it.
Is there any danger of aging patients or middle-aged patients getting orthodontics braces? And how do you feel about other things that are out there like Invisalign?
I feel pretty good about Invisalign. Invisalign is what we call aesthetic braces, and it's basically set to line up the front teeth.
Okay.
For that to work, your back teeth have to be in order. So generally the order, because once upon a time I did straight wire braces, the kind of metal. So once your lower teeth are in line, the upper teeth are cinched down and lined up, and then you straighten out the front ones. That's fine if you keep up with the treatment. A lot of the problem with braces is that you have to prevent the bone and gum memory of where the teeth once were. You've got to either wear a fixed retainer or you've got to wear a removable retainer. And if you don't wear it, the teeth are they're gonna go back.
Where they were.
Got it.
Now, you asked something else about older individuals. For some reason or another, the young people seem to withstand the braces a little more than older people. Older people, at one point in time, I had braces on my lower teeth. A noob down here named Leroy Venn helped me out. He gave me some. I don't wear my retainer. I just got them on my lower teeth. Once I got those braces and I got in the car, I wanted to turn around like, man, take these things off. The braces, they'll cut your lip. They recommend that you wear, wax to prevent the cuts. And some of the wires may come out sometimes from the locks and cut you. Oh man.
Yeah.
And then, whenever I have people that are complaining about the braces, because every time they get the wires changed, it hurts and their teeth are sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
I just tell them to think about the end result, because there's nothing else that can get you through that. Now, one disadvantage an older person may have versus a younger person to get braces is the fact that there's a phenomenon called internal resorption. And what that is the roots may shrink to some degree and may not be as long as a young person's roots. But why that's important is the way that teeth move when they're under orthodontic care, and why it takes so long is they will make an adjustment each month, and they can only expect a millimeter of movement, whether it's rotational bodily movement or trying to close a gap. And what happens is the bone cells will break down in the direction that the tooth is moving, and the bone cells will build up in the direction that the tooth is going. So it's just kind of like it's pushed along, and it's we call ortho controlled trauma. Sometimes it will cause your roots to shorten by getting braces. Sometimes I could look at an x-ray, meeting a person for the first time. Did you have braces? Yeah. So you're kind of telltale things, the way their arch lines up, the way they hold their mouth, and the way their x-rays look. It's just like I could see it walking down the street.
Got it. Well, Doc, we are pressing on time. Feel like we could talk to you for another hour, if not more. This has been real informative, man. Real informative, and we're so grateful for it. As again, we forge forward, man, with this journey exploration of the second half, and so a couple of things. If we could wrap up with one, you just giving us just a summary of, again, the importance of oral health for our overall health. And then I just want you to give your take on how important it is to make sure you really live in this second half of your life.
Again, back to what I was saying earlier about what you put in your mouth can affect a lot of things. If you continue on a bad, deleterious path of, and anything is bad in excess. Moderation is fine. It'll put you on a trajectory that you can't recover from. If you can't, things are tough for everybody. And when it rains, everybody gets wet.
Yeah.
But what I suggest is you make some time, especially us as Black men, as Black people, to make an opportunity to go to the dentist. There are a lot of dentists that have smoking cessation programs. And then with our community, diabetes, high blood pressure, we can talk about that kind of stuff and get you on the right path to living out the rest of your life how it should be lived. All right.
Yeah.
So like I told you, I do a little martial arts training on the side. In addition to bending over with work, some of that stuff is, let's just put it this way. I can't bounce back like I used to.
I know the feeling.
Things have kind of gotten to the point, especially when the kids aren't at home with me, I'm by myself. I try not to take as many chances as I did when I was in my 20s and 30s. I thought I was Superman back then.
Right.
I was staying in the gym until muscle failure, just doing anything, running hard, putting down my last drink at 1 a.m. You can't do that again anymore. You just can't do that. Your body will slow you down. And you know, if I don't encourage you to do anything else, is one, be around people that you like and love. It's good for your spirit. Make time to go see the doctor and make conscious decisions about what you're eating and make good choices.
Good deal.
Yeah, that's solid.
Well, man, we thank you again for your time and your insights. You've had a storied career; it's still ongoing. I appreciate you and so appreciate you sharing with our viewers, with Darren and myself, and our viewers, your insights again about oral health and the impact it has on our overall health. You are a good dude. We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I marvel and I'm always grateful for the guests that we've been able to bring on here. Darren and I get as much from this as anybody, but it's always fantastic when we can go back to what we initially started with the Soul of a Man podcast, and that was to showcase good, solid brothers who are in their communities, who are doing it in a big way, God-fearing, God-loving. And this guy right here, you know, you folks got to know, he's on my list of dope dads. He you know, is just a dope dad to his core. He's got 2 young men that he's raising up that are going to be absolute forces in this world before all is said and done. And appreciate you and love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Doc, it's a pleasure meeting you, sir.
All right.
Take care.
Good night.
Thank you, folks. And we will see you on the next episode of the Soul of a Man podcast.